CreativeNotCorporate.com proudly presents the Creative, Not Corporate Pop Culture and Media Podcast, chronicling the ongoing pop culture battle between the creative minds of music, movies, TV, and radio, and the corporate suits that control them. Now, please welcome your host, a digital media professional with over 25 years experience in all forms of traditional and digital media, not to mention managing two of the largest online radio podcast networks on earth. Here is the king of podcasts. Big Bang Theory is closing its doors. How about that? Didn't think they were ever going to get to the point, but let me tell you, they had signed up so much freaking money, and how much more can you do to tell the story? How many more times do we need to see Sheldon and Amy fight? How many times do we need to see Leonard and Penny deal with their stuff? You know, they're all still together. They're all doing the same thing. It's like, look, they changed the whole show from when it was, four single guys. They all pretty much gotten together, except for Raj, right? And then you just see, bicker, and the show's changed and it's evolved. How much farther can they go? So, ScreenRant.com, as I begin this week's Creative, Not Corporate, Not Pop Culture Media Podcast. Thanks for joining us, King of Podcast with you. We just get started, okay? We just get right into it. ScreenRant.com puts a story out about why so many people hate the Big Bang Theory. Well, there's the recent announcement that Big Bang Theory will be coming to an end after its upcoming 12th season. So at the end of this 2018-2019 season, Big Bang Theory is no more, which leads into the amount of shows that are going away. We have Game of Thrones that's going away. We have Homeland that's going away. A big year for finales. A big year for series finales. So we're all kind of, tightening up with all this anticipation of how all these shows are going to pan out. So Big Bang Theory has been one of the most highly rated sitcoms, one of the most heavily syndicated sitcoms in the world. 15 to 20 million viewers per week watching the show. So some of the things that are being said by those that were all kind of into the show in the first place, the nerds and geeks, if you will, which was the kind of angle that they always put out there for everybody to watch the show. That's what kind of drew the show's initial interest. Well, all these self-identified nerds and geeks on this show, the main characters were made to be comedic figures only because of their hobbies and occupations, but never had a real emotional core beyond that. So the argue of nerds and their culture are entirely based upon negative stereotypes. They might not wear the tape glasses or pocket protectors like the titular heroes of the Revenge of the Nerds, but the same spirit is there. The so-called comedy of the show is little different than that of a middle school jock mocking someone for enjoying reading or playing chess. In the minds of the writers of The Big Bang Theory, pointing out the fact that people like things like cosplay and dressing for special events is a joke unto itself. It is enough to just show a group of non-athletic nerds dressed as the Justice League. Again, we find ourselves faced with a middle school bully whose idea of comedy comes from merely stating the obvious and laughing like Nelson Muntz. Okay. Ha ha, you're old. That's what I'm talking about. Now, the other thing that was being made about why people hate the Big Bang Theory was meant that this was an old school sitcom and it's old fashioned. And so there's probably some kind of outcry onto certain stereotypes that are being put, and people are just not liking that anymore. They've gotten old and have gotten fed up of it. While it can be argued that most comedy is based upon presumptions and stock characters, which it is, that does not excuse the need for characters to be developed beyond the status of a cardboard cutout. Now, this writer for Screen Rant, he cites Cheers, which centered around the romantic tension between a promiscuous jock and a would-be intellectual he hired as a barmaid. So the Sam Malone, Diane Chambers character dynamic with hidden depths as time went on, and did the same for the rest of its supporting cast and bar workers and barflies. So the cast has remained largely unchanged after 11 years, despite finding love and getting married. So, according to this writer, he says the show's been lazy, which is where I've been on it because I stopped watching around season 7. And the show's reliance on stereotypes seems particularly old-fashioned when geek chic has become the modern popular culture. And it's hard to suggest that there's an inherent stigma in liking superheroes when Marvel Comics earned $300 billion in the theaters alone. And there's no small irony that at the same time, Big Bang Theory was presenting Melissa Roche and Mayim Bialik as the cliched cardigan-wearing nerd girls. CBS's most popular drama offered up a character like Abby Schuetzel, good Lord, I cannot read today, who defy the stereotypes of nerds, goth, and women working in a STEM field. And then they don't like the laugh track. Oh, so Modern Family's better? You know, it's kind of tough to make a good comedy anyway. So the show went so well, it went well past its expiration date. We could have gone and finished the show a long time ago, but they didn't. And that's what it comes down to. So, they found a spinoff. So Glory's going to make some bucks going on after that. He's got Mom. He's doing just fine. And the thing, too, is that in the eyes of CBS television, this is a show they don't own. So they're going to continue to do things where they prefer to go ahead and put their own shows together and cut the costs instead of having to pay the outrageous money they're going to have to pay the Big Bang Theory cast to keep that show going. They already had to pay a big fat paycheck to all the cast members. They're not going to do it again. And it's probably better off for all of them. Listen, the cast is relatively young, so they're all going to find themselves somewhere to go. I think the one person that's going to have the biggest problem trying to, branch out and change his direction is Sheldon. We know that character is typecast. So for Jim Parsons to go ahead and work on something else outside of that, that's going to be tough for him. He'll have a tough road. But we know, listen, the others that have been on that show, they've been around for a long time. And listen, Kelly Cuoco and the others will do just fine. I'm sure they're going to find their way out and branch out to other things. And that's okay. They'll all find their way around. But yeah, it's just enough. And the show is on all the time on TBS, so it's going to live there forever. I don't think people even recognize, the difference is they do have more new shows, but we've had weddings, we've had other things going on. It's enough. Enough. And I think people just want to go and see a new comedy take that new spot. I don't know what that's going to be. And the truth is, the way the trends are on television, I don't know what shows are going to come out now where we could have a new comedy that will stand out and become the next big thing. Because nobody is right now. There is not one comedy besides Big Bang that is going to come up and say it's going to do very well. Because let me tell you something. Young Sheldon will suffer without Big Bang heading up the lineup. I mean, this year for Thursdays, I said it, CBS is going to have the best night. They're going to do very well. And then next year, it changes. But we're going to probably see less comedies as we go along because they're just not working right now. Nobody's coming in with new comedies. There are no established comics that are out there that are coming in to translate into the new show. It's just not happening. And so that's going to be a tough struggle, a tough climb for comedy to come back. Because the only places that supposedly comedy's on are your late night shows, some of these, politically minded shows. And that's it. Because for whatever reason, some comedies out there need to be political or they have to have a political slant. And does that work well? I don't think so. But that's where we are. Meantime, more TV stuff going on this week. This was kind of interesting. So people don't want to have old school comedy. Well, I guess now there's a thing where people don't want old school softcore porn on their HBO or Cinemax, I guess. So check this out. HBO had a thing where they used to have late night adult programming. They're starting to ramp it down. So in a statement, HBO recently said, over the past several years, HBO's been winding down its late night adult fare. While we're greatly ramping up our other original program offerings, there hasn't been a strong demand for this kind of adult programming because perhaps it's easily available elsewhere. So because porn is available anywhere, people don't want to watch it on their cable anymore. Okay. I guess there is something to be said where people don't like having their, there's just certain things that just don't feel good anymore. Maybe because porn doesn't include, transgender or too much gay on these particular shows, I guess. I don't know. Or there's something to be said about, the kind of feeling or the kind of morale or values that there might be in having porn. Is this something's bad about it? But there's a stigma about it. And for whatever reason, shows like Cat House are going away. Now, one thing that doesn't go away that they do say is that we're still going to have shows that will have sexual themes in them on their regular original programming. Game of Thrones, Westworld, and second season of The Deuce, premiering September 9th. I can't wait. I'm glad that show stayed around, personally. But that's TV for the week. Let's move along to movies as we continue this Creative Not Corporate podcast for all of you. Remember, you can find the show at creativenotcorporate.com, creativenotcorporate.com. And you can find all the ways to subscribe to the show. We have it on Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, iTunes. It's all there for you. New shows every week, as always. And if you want to keep in touch with yours truly, on Twitter at King of Podcasts, Facebook.com/Creative Not Corporate. It's all right there. And I also got an Instagram page. I just don't put that much there, but if you want to check it out. And I also got a LinkedIn page, but, it's kind of there too. Anyways. Did not get to watch any movies this weekend, but I have some catch up to do this weekend. I plan to go see Peppermint with Jennifer Garner and catch up and watch Happy Time Murders because that was going to make me laugh, I'm sure. No, I had to go away this week because I had a conference to go and take care of, the United States Cannabis Conference and Expo. It turned out pretty well. I'm pretty happy with the turnout and pretty happy with the results. So that was a show that was just right down in my backyard here in Miami, Florida. And then in about 6 weeks, I have to trek coast to coast to Phoenix to do another show of the same ilk. It'll just be kind of not a repeat of the same show, but another show for the West Coast. We're going to do that, and we'll have that all set for everybody to go ahead and check out. It's October 4th to the 6th. I'll figure out what happens if I get to do the show. If I try to do the show early before I leave, but again, that's several weeks down the line. October 3rd, I believe, is the week of that show. That's the day the episode will normally run, but I'll probably be on a flight on the way out, so I'll do the show early. Anyways, moving along. For movies this summer, according to Variety.com, the most important movie trend is people still love going to the movies. Yes. So let's talk about it. This is a story I had last week I didn't get a chance to go to, but let's mention what was being said. So this year, 2018 will end up being a very solid summer season, up 11% over last season. And you look at movies that you had that helped make this possible. You have Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, A Quiet Place, and it just helped. A lot of big movies this summer with Mission Impossible as well, kind of finishing things off. Incredibles 2, just a lot of good stuff. Plus, a lot of movies that came out that were very independent, kind of under the radar, did very well too. Sorry to Bother You did a surprising $16 million. Hereditary, $44 million. Spooky movie. The Ruth Bader Ginsburg movie RBG made $13 million. Mr. Rogers' biography, Won't You Be My Neighbor, $22 million. Black Klansman made $23 million. Those movies, made a lot of money. And the movie right now that made a whole lot of money is Crazy Rich Asians, $34 million so far. Now, that's not including this week's tally, but let's tell you what was on the top of the box office charts. Second straight weekend it goes to Crazy Rich Asians. For the weekend of August 24 to 26, it made $24 million. Its total gross right now, $76 million off a $30 million budget. Big movie, big money. It's like the next big fat Greek wedding, but now we're going to probably get, more stuff out of it. It was based off a book. Good for them. The Meg, $12 million, $130 million budget, $105 million gross so far domestically, so it's going to make its money back. Happy Time Murders, $9 million, $40 million budget. It took a hit. Didn't do well, and it was in a lot of theaters. That's not good to be said about that. Mission Impossible, in its fifth week, $8 million, nearly $200 million domestic, And just by the domestic breaking, it's a $178 million budget. That was fourth this week. And the Mile 22 comes in $6 million, $25 million gross domestic, and $50 million on the budget. It'll probably make its money back probably worldwide because of the foreign kind of appeal of those action movies. Plus, you had a Asian star that was really definitely this new action martial arts star that was part of the thing. So that was quite interesting as well. And actually, BlacKkKlansman made much more money now. It's up to $31 million. It got $5 million this week. So people are enjoying it. Good stuff. Plus, remember, for the summer, a lot of movies made over $100 million. Hotel Transylvania 3, Equalizer 2, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, Ant-Man and the Wasp, the new Marvel flick, $200 million, Incredibles, $600 million. These are all domestic. Jurassic World, $400 million domestic, but I'm sure it's going to hit its way towards what, like 1.5 and a lot more. But there you go. Pretty good turn for everybody out there making what it made. And also Ocean's 8 making $130 million this year. So it was a good year for the summer movies. Congratulations. Now I got to go into music and radio. A couple things I want to go ahead and finish off with, which of course is the usual manipulation where I look at, the chart that matters. Of course, the Billboard Hot 100, which is surprising. In the music industry, people really care about that. It still matters to them. It's still very important to see what's going on that chart. Well, on that chart, you have, again, for the 7th week at number 1, In My Feelings, Drake. He did it once again. Rest of the chart goes, Taste, number 10, Sicko Mode 9, God is a Woman, No Tears Left to Cry, Ariana Grande is back-to-back at 8 and number 7. Lucid Dream 6, Better Now 5, Fifi 4, I Like It 3, Girls Like You 2. And then I look at what bad manipulation there is of the American Top 40 chart, which just always makes me laugh. I'm looking at the last 3 weeks of the chart, which it's kind of hilarious when I look at how bad they are at trying to keep up with what's really popular and the bad manipulation of the chart every week. So I looked at the last 3 weeks of the chart, August 11th, August 18th, August 25th, this past weekend. Look at the list. Here's the first thing right off. Foster the People Sitting Next to Me was a song that was up there at number 21 the week before on August 4th. And on the August 18th chart, for whatever reason, American Top 40 drops it from 21. It was on for 17 weeks. And just like that, poof, it's gone. Now, at this point, August 11th, Cardi B and Maroon 5, Girls Like You, is number 1 song. It's been on for 4 weeks at number 1. And then what do you have after that? So Friends, Marshmello and Marie have been 3. Delicates 4. Ariana Grande 5. 4 for Ariana Grande, No Tears Left to Cry. Basie, Mind 5. Post Malone, Psycho, and Better Now were 6 and 7. Cardi B, I Like It 8. Calvin Harris, Dua Lipa, One Kiss 9. Back to You, Selena Gomez 10. That was for 1 week. That was August 11th. Then on the 18th, you had Drake and God's Plan. Okay, the song, first of all, they were like 8 weeks behind. The song was already number 1 for like 8 or 10 weeks before God's Plan finally made it on the chart. And it never got any higher than what? I think it got up to what, like number 12? It never made the top 10 on the American Top 40 chart. What? Ridiculous. It was at 32 on this August 18th chart, and then all of a sudden dropped. Where did that happen? Now, here's the other part that's kind of funny, is the number 1 song for the last 7 weeks. Okay, you had In My Feelings, Drake. Do you know where it was on August 11th? Okay, the week before, August 4th. That means the song was already 3 weeks at number 1. It got up to 38. And then all of a sudden, because of this correction, they had to move it up to 21. What? They moved up to 21 all of a sudden like that. Then the song In My Feelings moves up Actually, it stayed on the 18th at 21. So after that major correction, it just stays where it is. It's the number one song in the country. It doesn't move to the top 10, not even close. Way out of touch. And then the 18th, I look at the chart, and In My Feelings is now 14. Song is 7 weeks at number one. And for whatever reason, I mean, the Billboard Hot 100 charts the most popular songs. It is the pop chart, basically. The pop chart, the mainstream chart. And for whatever reason, they're just so behind about it. And then I'll look at the rest of the list. Okay, I like it. That song right now is currently top 10, was top 5. So when I look at I like it, all right, the 11th, it was 8. 18th, it was 8 again. 25th, this week, it's 5. Meanwhile, this song hit number one, and it stayed in the top 5 for what? 15 weeks? And all the radio stations now, at least in my market, in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, they're all playing it like it's new. It's like they're not even following what the American Top 40 chart is. They don't even care. And In My Feelings, all those stations had to go and counteract and say, man, we better start playing this song. The song got overly viral on YouTube, and everybody else is playing it. And you're telling me that Drake, if anybody's following what the consultants and the assholes at American Top 40 are following, they don't even know they don't have a clue. They don't have a clue what songs are popular. Right? So then you got that going on for you. Fifi, 6ix9ine, Nicki Minaj, Burner Beats, nobody's playing on pop radio. Lucid Dreams, nobody's playing on pop radio. No Tears Left to Cry, that's the top 5 song. That's a route, right? God Is a Woman, only some stations are starting to play the song in rotation, but it took a long time to get there. But let me tell you what's going on here. Is God Is a Woman even on the chart here yet? On the 11th? No. On the 18th? It debuts on the 18th at 35. Meanwhile, this song is already up in the top 10. And the song quickly made its way up. And it's already been on the chart 6 weeks. And they don't understand what's going on. Just out of touch. These people. Ridiculous. Travis Scott. I mean, he's got what? Is he the top guy right now on the chart? Is he the guy with the number one song, the number one album right now in the country? No, actually, it's Ariana against Sweetener. But Astro, before that, Travis Scott, number one in the country, right? Didn't he get the number one? Yes. None of his songs in the pop chart. Not a one. I shudder to think if the urban charts have made it to it yet. Why are all these radio stations so behind when the streaming services are always on time? And that's why the radio audience keeps losing these people. It's not that hard. This is not something that's hard to do, besides the fact that, you're trying to make your money on advertising. Advertising is so important, but you're telling me the music people are so lodged back that they can't do what needs to be done in order to keep them close? Keep them within, being relevant to the streaming services, relevant to iTunes, relevant to Amazon Prime, relevant to Spotify, relevant to Pandora, relevant to Tidal. Why can't we do that? Why is it so far behind? And Taste, Tiger, which is Offset, not even close on the chart. Not even close. And then the other thing too is that the constant, that what they also do, which is completely ridiculous, is songs move up one spot, and that's all they do. Big Boy's song All Night, which I never heard on any radio station, pop station around here. I don't remember any station playing it. Madison Beer, Home With You, never heard on any station. They're rambling around the mid-20s on this chart. So Big Boy was on for 2 weeks. What was the 11th, 18th, and he dropped off this week. He dropped off the chart, and that was being at number 31. Just like that. Perfect. Ed Sheeran, still on the chart, 44 weeks on, and the song would go up and go down slowly. And then the other thing, too, is that you could just tell some of the songs they add that are like new songs that are extra that you know nobody's going to add. And it's ridiculous. And makes me laugh. Makes me laugh. All these songs they put on here that they're going to just do so well, and it's just, they're so off on it. So off. Their breakout songs are wrong. They're usually behind. I don't know what they're trying to think of. Dennis Lloyd's Nevermind. That's a song I haven't heard anywhere, but it's there. Jackie Chan should be a higher up song. Where's Jackie Chan on the Billboard? Hold on. Where's Jackie Chan? Jackie Chan's number 58. It's been on for a few weeks and never got any higher. It's just kind of there, but I guess because Post Malone's in it, they're kind of just playing it like crazy. Drew Barrymore, Bryce Vine is also a song on this American Top 40 chart for weeks now. And nobody was playing it at all. All of a sudden, now it's starting to get some push, but I don't know where it's coming from. I'm guessing because of the video that came out. But last week, 91 on the Billboard, now 57. And so it's going to work its way up, finally getting some push. But see, here's the other thing. The American Top 40 chart, you know, when you have things going on, when you have songs that are, you're trying to, you know, if you want the American Top 40 chart to be a gauge of what songs are important, what people want to hear, well, they're not. Like I said, look at all these songs that are on the American Top 40 chart that they will never make their light of day on mainstream radio. Meghan Trainor, you'd be right. I never heard it on any radio station so far. It can't be on any charts right now. Dennis Lloyd Nevermind. It's a UK hit. It's not even a hit here. Like I said, Big Boy All Night. Nobody's playing this anymore. Madison Beer Home With You. I don't know anybody that's playing it. They like to play Sabrina Carpenter on this chart. Nobody's playing her either. All due respect, but they're not. And that's the August 18th board. And then I look at the August 25th, this past week. Juice WRLD and Lucid Dreams just debuted. It just debuted, and that's because, and remember, that song was already on this chart. It's been on for a long time. What is it? Lucid Dreams, Juice WRLD, 15 weeks ago, got as high as number 3. And that's it. And now it's starting to get noticed. So it took 15 weeks for you guys to recognize the song while it was on the Hot 100 in the top 10? Wow. That's sick. But that's where they are. That's why they're behind. They don't know any better. They're so behind the times. Pretty sad. Pretty sad. So it's the manipulation again that I just have to call out and just say the indicative fact of the matter is that mainstream radio and this corporate radio entity that's out there continues to shit the bed, continues to make mistakes. And I think I must admit there are some programmers out there that are trying to say, you know what? We're just not going to follow what these consultants are saying. They are trying to break through a little bit because they understand they're up against the streaming. It's not even competition between other stations. It's just trying to keep people to listen in. At least what they could do is try to make the top 10, 15 songs that maybe, you know, you don't mind if you don't want to wait for it to play in rotation on Spotify or something like that. And you make sure all those hot songs are played as much as possible on the radio so that you don't get tempted to go ahead and set up your Bluetooth to listen to Spotify or Pandora or iTunes or whatnot. Think about that. That's what's going on. A couple of things that I was quite interested by. This is something that people should keep an eye on. A creative soul that is now about to, who's had control of her career. Now look, Taylor Swift first started off as a country darling, and she has been pretty well set for a long time. She's just had the run of the world. And right now, she has not signed a record deal or a deal with a music company, with a label, since she was 15. Now she's a free agent. So here's what's going on. The first anniversary of the release of her sixth album, Reputation, will be the official expiration of her obligation to Big Machine Records and its founder, CEO Scott Borchetta, who signed Swift when she first came to him at age 15. Now she's 28 and looks amazing for 28. She's among the most successful female artists in modern music history, not to mention a savvy businesswoman in her own right. This is another, when to talk about a creative artist, listen, you can talk about how mainstream she is. She has her own signature sound, her signature voice, signature everything. I love this woman. She is, talk about the best of the best in creative and handling the corporate giants. That one right there, Taylor Swift. All the respect in the world to that young woman. All the respect in the world. Listen, she did what she did. She's now free to negotiate with rival companies, though she can't sign any new deal before November. Her reps are known to have had preliminary discussions with the major label groups, along with talks about returning to Big Machine, the Nashville-based Universal Music Group distributed entity that became a powerhouse with Taylor Swift as its flagship artist. The key to the future for Taylor Swift is ownership of her master recordings. She will almost certainly keep the rights to her masters in her next deal, but it's no secret that, like a lot of superstars, she'd like to negotiate to own her previous albums, which currently remains in the hands of Big Machine. The label derives about 80% of its revenue from Swift's music. Potential auctions like this don't come up every year, and the numbers could be historic. Several music insiders note that it's not out of the realm that Swift could command $20 million per album. Now, the one thing that she has a lot of things, she has a lot of options of where she can go. And this is where you want to be. She's in the driver's seat. She can do what she wants. She can either create her own model. There's a question. Does she even need a record company anymore managing her? What do the labels do anymore is Radio International. And the rest, this is a former label chief saying this. What the labels do anymore is Radio International, and the rest is all bullshit. If they're not developing an artist, she might still want the security blanket of a label, but she could do a great distribution deal anywhere, hire a few more people, and pay for some services that the streaming platforms will have soon, but don't have yet. Breaking this ground might be hard to resist for someone who already handles most of the duties as a label would, from A&R to album design to publicity to most of her videos with her own in-house team. I hope she goes that route. Let me tell you something. She could probably find a team to do it. Because it's true. What do the record labels do for you now? They're like the advertising agency. That's it, the marketing arm. But they don't do anything to mold you up. Now, they might have done that early on with a Big Machine, might have done that. But what does Universal do? They just distribute it. That's it. And they're a big distributor. So it's guaranteed to get out there. But it's Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is bigger than the label and the distributor. She's bigger than both. And people will be on deaf ears waiting to hear what her next songs are, her next album, and people will go after it. And her fans, she's also devoted, faithful fan base. Faithful fan base. She could go with a non-universal major. Because right now she could go ahead and command whatever she wants. She can also stay in the same company. And then she could also go back to Big Machine. And the one thing the Big Machine has to play with is her master tapes. So again, the label president has signaled in the past he's not inclined to surrender. Well, maybe the company's biggest single asset. There's no breakthrough in sight on that point, suggests neither side wants to give in, which might leave Big Machine in the position of giving up a piece of Swift's future in order to hold on to a bigger piece of her past. Does he want to be in the Taylor Swift business going forward? If he does, he needs to do something. So, again, desperation. The artist that has been feeding you for 15 years, and you're going to give it up? You know, it's just such a great place for her to be. And it's really amazing that she gets to go ahead and make this decision. And I'm looking forward to finding out what she does in November. Keep in mind, folks, There is a point where the corporate entity holds on to you and they control. But when you become more powerful than they are, you're more popular than they are, and you work with the beast, and then you can go out on your own and be free. As you can do, and think about what she could do. She could do concept albums. She could do whatever she wants right now. I mean, she doesn't need the money. She's got merchandise. She's got everything. Everything that she could want in music. She's one of the real success stories in this generation of music, which there's not many of. There's not many artists right now that can come back with a new album and all of a sudden sell it like crazy and get downloads like crazy. There's not many like that. She could do whatever she wants, and I hope she does. I really do. One last thing to bring up before I wrap up the show. FCC launching a new podcast series. How ironic the FCC decides to put out a podcast. But I'll give them credit. The name of the show was very creative. It's called More Than 7 Dirty Words. It actually launched yesterday, August 27th. The press release reads that it's a new podcast series that will feature interviews with FCC officials and staff and others in the communication space to share untold stories, explain important policy issues, and maybe even do the impossible, make telecom interesting. So guests will share their personal stories behind some of the headline-making news from the commission and break down issues across the spectrum of the SEC. So they've already done a couple of podcast episodes so far, a quick introduction, about 4 minutes. And then they have one on Puerto Rico and the Hurricane Irma tragedy. And on the show, though, we'll talk about what the SEC's role was in the wake of the storms, talks with the SEC's Public Safety and Homeland Security Bureau chief, or an attorney within the Bureau, where he works to ensure that first responders can communicate with one another during emergencies. Talks about this attorney's visits to Puerto Rico, the SEC's response efforts, and where things stand almost a year later. So you can find the show at fcc.gov. It's already on Google, iTunes, and Google Play, and it will be on other podcast platforms in the near future, in the next coming days. So there you go. Quite interesting. Listen to it so far. Very NPR-like, but I'll see I'm going to stick to it and see if it's any good. And that's the show, folks. We ran it through just like that. I appreciate all of you for finding the show and listening to it and checking it out like you do every week. I don't know. I do this show sometimes and I just run right through it. It's not one of those things where it's extra structured. I don't know why I don't do it like that, but I just like to get into it, rant my way through it, and just finish up. And that's how it works out. So most weeks. I still hope to go and do a few more interviews down the line. I'll keep you in touch about those. If you want to be a guest on Creative Not Corporate, whether you're in the radio business, movie, TV business, and you're interested in being a part, then go ahead and email me. First of all, you can email me at the Facebook page, Creative Not Corporate, on Facebook. Tweet me, send a message at King of Podcasts, or you can send it to my email. Email address is J, B as in boy, R, A as in apple, S as in Sam, C as in Charlie, O as in Omega, 951, J Brasco 951 at yahoo.com. And you can send it to me there. So until next time, we'll talk again. And remember, until we talk next week, keep corporate away from your creative. I'm out. Thank you for listening to the Creative Not Corporate Pop Culture and Media Podcast. To learn where to subscribe to the show and how to follow the King of Podcasts anywhere on social media, go to our website at creativenotcorporate.com. That's creativenotcorporate.com. The Creative Not Corporate Podcast is brought to you by Amazon. Shop where the King of Podcasts shops for everything and anything he needs by going to kingofpodcasts.com/Amazon. Also, check out the King of Podcasts' work every day at webmasterradio.fm and cannabisradio.com. And look for his other original podcast series, The Wrestling is Real Podcast. Learn about these and more at kingofpodcasts.com.